What if I told you that the NFL, the most American sport on the planet, owes a massive debt to Canada? Not just a little, a massive one. Because hidden in the history books of professional football are Canadian-born players who won Super Bowls, broke records, earned Hall of Fame rings, and changed the game forever. Some of them you've heard of, some of them will completely shock you. Today, we're counting down the 10 most successful Canadians in NFL history, and I promise you, by the time we get to number 1, your jaw is going to be on the floor. Let's go. Number 10, Mike Vanderjagt. We start with a man who was literally called an idiot on national television by his own quarterback. Mike Vanderjagt was born in Oakville, Ontario, and in the NFL, he had one of the most fascinating and complicated careers of any Canadian ever to play the game. He spent most of his 9 NFL seasons as the kicker for the Indianapolis Colts, and on paper, the numbers are almost unbelievable. In 2003, Vanderjagt did something that had only been done twice before in NFL history. He went a perfect 33 for 33 on field goals across an entire season. Every single kick, not one miss. He also led the entire NFL in scoring in 1999. His career field goal percentage was 86.5%, which at the time was the best in NFL history by a significant margin. So why is he only number 10? Because of one kick. January 2006, Colts against the Steelers in the playoffs. Vanderjagt lined up for a 46-yard field goal with under a minute left. If it goes through, the Colts have a chance. The Colts had arguably the best team in football that year. The kick sailed wide right. Season over, and Vanderjagt never kicked for Indianapolis again. But there is another reason his name rings in NFL history, and it has nothing to do with his foot. In early 2003, Vanderjagt went on a Canadian cable show and publicly questioned Peyton Manning's leadership and criticized head coach Dungy. He basically said the Colts weren't getting better. Manning responded at the Pro Bowl, on camera in front of the whole world. He called Vanderjagt, and I quote, "our idiot kicker who got liquored up and ran his mouth off." It is one of the most iconic quotes in NFL history, and it came from a Canadian. But here's the thing people forget. Vanderjagt also won 2 Grey Cups with the Toronto Argonauts. The man knew how to win. He just had a very unique way of staying in the headlines. Number 9, O.J. Otagoe. From Oakville to Windsor, because Windsor, Ontario gave the NFL one of the hardest-hitting safeties of the 2000s. O.J. Otagoe played 7 seasons in the NFL, primarily with the St. Louis Rams, and the numbers he put up as a defensive back are seriously impressive. 454 total tackles, 25 interceptions, 48 pass knockdowns, 16 forced fumbles, and 2 defensive touchdowns. That is a complete safety, a nightmare for any quarterback who dared to look his way. In 2008, Otagoe was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week after a dominant performance against Washington. 4 tackles, a forced fumble, a recovery, and a touchdown in a 1917 win. He was listed at 5'11" and 205 pounds. Not the biggest guy on the field, but he played like he was 7 feet tall. Otagoe never made a Pro Bowl. That is one of the genuine injustices of his career. But ask any Rams fan from that era, and they will tell you exactly how valuable he was. Number 8, Alex Singleton. Stay right here because this next name is one that a lot of NFL fans are still discovering, and the story behind it will stop you cold. Alex Singleton was born in the United States, but his mother is Canadian, and he represented Canada internationally, earning him a place on this list. He spent years in the CFL before getting his NFL shot, and when he got it, he did not waste it. Over 7 NFL seasons with the Philadelphia Eagles and Denver Broncos, Singleton has recorded 736 total tackles. Let that number sit for a second. 736. He has also added 25 tackles for loss, 16 pass knockdowns, 5 sacks, 5 fumble recoveries, 3 forced fumbles, and 3 interceptions across 91 games. But here is the part of his story that makes everything else pale in comparison. During his career, Singleton received a cancer diagnosis. He missed games because of it. He fought through it. Then he came back and kept playing linebacker in the National Football League at a high level. That is not just football. That is something deeper. That is the definition of refusing to quit. Singleton is still active, still competing, and still proving that the path from the CFL to the NFL can lead somewhere remarkable. Number 7. Rueben Mayes. Now we go back in time, because this one deserves more recognition than it gets. Rueben Mayes was born in North Battleford, Saskatchewan, and in 1986 he walked into the NFL as a rookie running back for the New Orleans Saints and absolutely turned the league upside down. In his first season, Mayes rushed for 1,353 yards and 8 touchdowns. He was named the NFL's Offensive Rookie of the Year, and those 1,353 yards, they still stand as the Canadian NFL rushing record. Think about that. 40 years later, no Canadian running back has topped what Mayes did as a rookie. He went to 2 Pro Bowls. He was fast, powerful, and completely electric to watch. And then in 1989, a torn Achilles tendon changed everything. He tried to come back, he played on for a while, but he was never the same. Mayes finished his career with 3,484 rushing yards, 401 receiving yards, and 23 total touchdowns across 8 seasons with New Orleans and Seattle. He is a member of the New Orleans Saints Hall of Fame. What might have been if that Achilles held up? That question haunts Canadian football history. Number 6. David Onyemata. Here is a name that carries a different kind of weight. David Onyemata was born in Nigeria but moved to Canada and played his college football at the University of Manitoba. He's as Canadian as it gets in terms of his football development. The New Orleans Saints traded up in the 4th round of the 1996 NFL Draft to select him. A lot of people questioned that pick at the time. A defensive tackle from Manitoba, really? Well, here's your answer. Over 151 career NFL games, Onyemata has recorded 388 total tackles, 48 tackles for loss, and 31 sacks. He has become one of the most consistent and disruptive interior defensive linemen of his generation. After 7 years with the Saints, he moved on to the Atlanta Falcons and continued producing at a high level. The Saints did not just get a pick right, they got a steal. And the University of Manitoba produced an NFL starter who has played more career games than most first-round picks. Nobody saw it coming. Onyemata built it anyway. Number 5. Eddie Murray. 5 seasons into this countdown, and we have not even touched the man who might be the best Canadian kicker in NFL history. Not Vanderjagt, Eddie Murray. Murray was born in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and he played 19 seasons in the National Football League. 19! That is a career that outlasted teams, coaches, quarterbacks, dynasties, and entire eras of football. He played 12 of those seasons with the Detroit Lions, who honored him with a spot on their 75th anniversary team. His career field goal percentage was 75.5%. That number sounds modest by modern standards, but Murray played across an era when the kicking game was dramatically different. Smaller windows, more weather games, longer distances without the benefit of modern technique. He also connected on 98.7% of his extra point attempts and won a Super Bowl ring with Dallas in Super Bowl 28. Murray played 250 NFL games. He was a first-team All-Pro once and a second-team All-Pro 3 times. He is one of the most durable and underappreciated Canadian football players in history. And in Halifax, Nova Scotia, they should build a statue. Number 4. Nate Burleson. Nate Burleson was born in Calgary, Alberta. He was a 3rd-round pick out of the University of Nevada, and for 10 NFL seasons, he was one of the most versatile wide receivers in the game. He played for the Minnesota Vikings, the Seattle Seahawks, and the Detroit Lions. He finished his career with 457 receptions, 5,630 receiving yards, and 39 touchdowns. But here is the stat that puts him in the history books. In 2004, Burleson caught 68 passes for 1,006 yards with the Vikings. He became the first, and to this day, the only Canadian receiver in NFL history to record a 1,000-yard season. He also brought back 213 career kicks for 2,809 yards and 4 return touchdowns. He was an underrated weapon in the return game on top of everything he did as a receiver. After football, Burleson built a second career in broadcasting that has made him one of the most recognizable faces on American sports television. He is now a co-host on CBS Mornings and NFL Today. The Calgary kid who became a Super Bowl-era wide receiver and then became a television star. Not bad for a 3rd-round pick. Number 3. Mark Rypien. We are in the top 3 now, and this one changed history. Mark Rypien was born in Calgary, Alberta. He grew up in Spokane, Washington.
He was drafted in the 6th round of the 1986 NFL Draft by the Washington Redskins, the 146th overall pick, after playing his college ball at Washington State. He spent his first 2 seasons on injured reserve, then slowly climbed the depth chart, then became a starter, and then became a champion. In 1991, Rypien had the best season of his career. He threw for 3,564 yards and 28 touchdowns with just 11 interceptions. He led Washington to a 14-2 regular season record, one of the best records in NFL history. 3 lopsided playoff wins followed, and then came Super Bowl 26. Washington against the Buffalo Bills. Rypien completed 18 of 33 passes for 292 yards and 2 touchdowns. Washington won 37-24, and Mark Rypien was named the Super Bowl MVP. He made history that day in a way no one has matched since. He became the first player born outside the United States ever to win the Super Bowl MVP award, the first in the history of the championship game, a kid from Calgary. Rypien went 47-31 as an NFL starter. He threw for 18,487 yards and 115 touchdowns. He made 2 Pro Bowls. And he still holds that distinction, the only Canadian-born player to win Super Bowl MVP. That alone would put him near the top of any list like this. But there are 2 players above him, and that tells you just how deep Canadian football greatness runs.
Number 2. Arnie Weinmeister. Before we get to the greatest Canadian in NFL history, we have to stop here, because this man deserves every second of your attention. Arnie Weinmeister was born in Rypien, Saskatchewan, and in the late 1940s and early 1950s, he was considered one of the most dominant defensive players in professional football. Weinmeister stood 6'4" and weighed 235 pounds. For a defensive tackle in that era, that was a physically imposing presence. He was fast, he was strong, he was technically exceptional. He first made his name in the All-America Football Conference, dominating for 2 seasons before the New York Giants signed him. With the Giants, Weinmeister earned 4 consecutive first-team All-Pro selections. 4. He recorded 8 fumble recoveries and a safety in 71 career NFL games. Tackles and sacks were not officially recorded as statistics at the time, which means we will never fully know the true extent of what he did on a football field. What we do know is this: in 1984, Arnie Weinmeister was inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 31 years after his NFL career ended, the voters agreed this man was one of the best to ever play. A farmer's son from Saskatchewan who became a Hall of Famer in New York City. Football does not get more Canadian than that. Number 1. Bronko Nagurski. There was only ever going to be one name at the top of this list. Bronislaw Nagurski was born on November 3, 1908 in Rainy River, Ontario. His family were Ukrainian immigrants. His nickname, Bronko, came from his American schoolmates struggling to pronounce his real name. He went on to become the most feared football player of his era, and arguably one of the most feared in the history of the sport. At 6'2" and 226 pounds, Nagurski was enormous for the 1930s. But it was not just his size, it was what he did with it. He played fullback on offense and linebacker on defense at the same time, in the same game, every game. He joined the Chicago Bears in 1930, and over the next 9 seasons, he became a legend. Nagurski rushed for 2,778 yards and 25 touchdowns. He earned 4 first-team All-Pro selections. He was named All-NFL in 7 of his first 8 seasons. He helped the Bears win NFL championships in 1932 and 1933. Then he retired because of a salary dispute. He walked away from football and became a professional wrestler, a world heavyweight professional wrestling champion, multiple times over. But in 1943, the Bears called him back. World War II had drained the league's roster of manpower. Nagurski was 35 years old, his knees and ankles were damaged, and he came back anyway. He came back as a tackle, but late in a must-win game, the Bears were trailing, and so Nagurski lined up at fullback one more time. His line plunges drove the Bears down the field. They tied the game. They won it.
The following week in the 1943 NFL Championship game against the Washington Redskins, Bronko Nagurski scored the go-ahead touchdown that sealed the title. He retired again, this time for good. In 1963, Nagurski was inducted into the inaugural class of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the very first class. The Chicago Bears retired as number 3. He was named to the NFL's 75th anniversary all-time team.
There is a story, perhaps legend, perhaps true, about how Nagurski's college coach at Minnesota first discovered him. Lost on a recruiting trip in northern Minnesota, the coach stopped to ask a farm boy for directions. The boy pointed down the road using the handle of the plow he was dragging behind him. Not pointing with his finger, with the plow. The coach offered him a scholarship on the spot. That story captures everything about Bronko Nagurski. Effortless power, quiet toughness, completely unaware of how extraordinary he was. He was born in a small town in Ontario. He died in 1990 in International Falls, Minnesota, where he ran a gas station for years after football, personally tightening every gas cap so firmly that customers sometimes could not unscrew them themselves. That was Bronko Nagurski, strength that never turned off. The greatest Canadian in NFL history, the most physically dominant player of his era, a charter member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, born in Rainy River, Ontario. So there you have it, 10 Canadians who crossed the border and left their mark on the most popular sport in America. From a Saskatchewan defensive tackle enshrined in Canton to a Saskatchewan running back who still holds the Canadian rushing record. From a Halifax kicker who played 19 seasons to a Calgary quarterback who stood on the Super Bowl stage as the MVP. Canada has always had football. The world just does not always pay attention. Now you know. If this video opened your eyes to something you did not expect, drop it in the comments. Tell me which name surprised you the most. And if you think someone was left off this list, I want to hear that too. Like and subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from.